Welcome back to Movie Rewind. Today I will tell you about an action, crime, drama movie from 2017 titled Ghost in the Shell. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. In the near future, human cybernetic upgrades have become big business. The industry leader, Honka Robotics Corporation, is progressing towards a new iteration of cyborg. They plan to transplant a human brain into a cyborg skeleton, thereby combining the power of the human mind with the utility of a robot. A woman named Mira Killian is transported to Honka following an accident. There, Honka's CEO, Cutter, and engineer, Dr. Yulei, are overseeing the procedure. 1 year later, Mira is now known as the Major. She is part of an elite anti-terrorism division within the government called Section 9. Major is on a rooftop monitoring a meet between Honka representative Dr. Osmond and the president of the African Federation. Major takes direction from Aramaki, chief of Section 9, who tells her to observe and report. As she assesses the situation, 6 men get off the elevator and shoot the android that greets them. The geisha bots that were serving the banquet then begin attacking the attendees. Major immediately removes her jacket and jumps off the roof, despite Aramaki telling her to stand down. As she dives down the side of the building, she cloaks herself before swinging into the room. Major shoots several of the men, and a hacker is shown from a remote location, controlling the geisha bots with some sort of neural network. Major shoots one of the geisha bots and it emits a male voice which says, "Cooperate with Honka Robotics and be destroyed," before being terminated. Major then returns to Section 9 headquarters, where the team meets with Aramaki. Most of the other Section 9 operatives have cybernetic enhancements, but they are nowhere near as advanced as Major. Togusa, who is completely human, briefs the rest of the team. Following the banquet attack, 3 other Honka scientists were also killed. They were all senior figures in the company, and they all showed signs of neural hacking. A message was left by the hacker, who calls himself Kuze, which repeated the same mantra that the geisha bot said to Major. Aramaki keeps Major after the meeting, and reprimands her for acting outside of his orders. Major says she was just fulfilling her purpose, but Aramaki says that she's more than just a machine. He tells Major that her ghost lives on, within her. Major, and her colleague Bado, go to Honka headquarters where she sees Dr. Yulei for repairs. She tells the doctor that she has been experiencing glitches in the form of hallucinations, but that she does not recognize any of them. Dr. Yulei locates the abnormalities on Major's log and deletes them. Afterwards, Major goes to the Honka lab where the geisha bot is being worked on. She wants to perform a deep dive on the bot, which requires an unencrypted connection to the robot's memory. The process could provide valuable insight into Kuze's location, but it will also put Major at risk of intrusion. The link is established and Major finds herself walking through a nightclub, surrounded by distorted images. Kuze sees her online and starts hacking her connection, but the doctor immediately pulls her out. Major sits up and declares that she knows where to find Kuze. Bado and Major go to a Yakuza nightclub with their team member, Ladria. The Section 9 agents can communicate telepathically, so they separate after entering the club. 2 men pull Major into a private room, where she is handcuffed to the pole and forced to dance using a cattle prod. The room blocks the team's communications, so Major subdues the 2 men herself, and Bado subsequently gets into a gunfight at the bar. Major takes out several more assailants before freeing herself from the pole, and going to search for Kuze. They enter one of the back rooms and Kuze detonates a fuel tank, knocking Major and Bado unconscious. Major wakes up back at Honka headquarters, where Dr. Yulei repairs her damage. She says that Major absorbed most of the blast, however, Bado's eyes were damaged in the explosion. Bado receives a pair of cybernetic eyes to restore his vision, and Major goes to check on him. Later that night, Kuze breaks into the Honka lab, where one of the doctors is working. She turns around in her chair and appears to recognize him. Kuze then removes her eyes, before killing her. Major and Bado report to Honka the following morning. They find the doctor holding a file labeled Project 2571. The file lists all the Honka staff assigned to the project, of which only Dr. Yulei remains. Ladria rushes to contact Dr. Yulei but fails to reach her. Meanwhile, Kuze takes control of 2 sanitation workers and drives their vehicle into Yulei's car. Dr. Yulei crawls out of the overturned vehicle as Section 9 arrives at the crash site. They shoot at the 2 workers in time to save Dr. Yulei, and the hacked men return fire before going separate ways. Bado shoots one of them, and Major pursues the other on foot. Knowing that she can cloak herself, he runs into a shallow body of water before spraying the area with automatic fire. Major then appears right beside him and knocks him high into the air. He pulls out a knife, but she quickly disarms him and punches him into submission. Using the sanitation workers connection, Togusa traces and identifies Kuze's location. Major discovers that Kuze has been using a network of interconnected humanoid bodies, which is how the network was so powerful. Kuze distracts Major with a mirage of the burning hut that she had seen in prior hallucinations, before multiple assailants ascend on her with tasers. After they subdue her, the hacker talks to Major, telling her they are the same. He tells Major that she is not the first of the cerebral salvage program, despite what the Honka scientists have told her. Kuze reveals that he was Project 2571, until Honka deemed him a failure and scrapped him. He removes his cloak, and upon seeing the same burning hut tattooed on his chest, Major demands he explains what it is. Kuze responds that he can't remember, he only knows that it haunts him, and he asks Major if she has seen it too. As the rest of Section 9 breaks into the room to save Major, Kuze tells her not to take the medication that Honka gives her. He says they use it to repress her memories, and that only the shell belongs to them, but her ghost belongs to her. Major just stares at him, bewildered, and Bado forces Kuze to flee. Major then breaks into Yulei's home and confronts her. Yulei says there were 98 unsuccessful shelling attempts before Major. She goes on to confess that none of Major's memories are real. They were planted by Honka, specifically designed to provide further motivation. Major leaves, having heard enough, and Dr. Yulei notifies Cutter that she is now aware of her predecessors. Worried that his program is now vulnerable, Cutter has Honka security locate Major and bring her in. Now back at Honka, Major sits in the lab, sedated, as Cutter plans to decommission her. Yulei asserts that Major is still a person, but Cutter disagrees. He says she is an asset, and no longer a viable one. He gives the doctor a red vial and orders her to disable Major. Yulei enters the lab, but she can't bring herself to do it. She instead releases Major's restraints and hands her a file containing her true past. Several guards try to stop her, but they are easily defeated. As Major escapes the building, Cutter shoots the doctor in the lab, then implicates Major in Yulei's murder. Meanwhile, Major follows the information from Yulei and goes to what used to be her home. Upon arriving, she ends up running into her mother, who invites her in for tea. Major discovers that her name used to be Motoko, and that her mother believes that Motoko was killed after running away from home. Her mother then says that Major reminds her of Motoko and asks Major who she is. Major responds that she's not sure who she is and prepares to leave, but her mother stops her. She tearfully asks if Major will come again to visit her, and Major says she will. Major then contacts Aramaki and reveals the truth about Honka. Honka hasn't been salvaging minds from patients in critical condition. They have been using runaways, and people without families, as test subjects for the shelling program, including Major and Kuze. Aramaki informs Major that Dr. Yulei is dead, and that she is being framed for the murder. Because they are aware that Cutter is listening in on their conversation, Aramaki warns the other Section 9 members that they are burned. That night, 3 mercenaries ambush Aramaki as he's getting into his car. They approach the vehicle to open the door, but Aramaki emerges and kills all of them before emptying his revolver on the ground. Major tells Aramaki to put her back on the grid so that Kuze can find her, and she travels to the lawless zone as Cutter tracks her. Kuze meets her there, and her memories start to return. She tells Kuze that his real name was Hideo. The burning hut was where they had lived, together with other runaways, until Honka set it on fire and took them away. Kuze asks Major to join him, however, they are interrupted when Cutter's spider tank fires at their location, injuring Kuze badly. Major drags him to safety as Cutter continues firing from his remote location. Believing that Major had been eliminated by a rocket, he turns the spider tank to face Kuze and picks him up by the head. Major, who is still alive, then jumps on top of the spider tank and uses all of her force to disable it, tearing her arm off in the process. Kuze crawls over to Major, and lays down beside her as he fades away. Bado shows up shortly after and helps Major back to safety. Elsewhere, Aramaki finds Cutter after speaking to the Prime Minister. He tells Cutter that he is charged with murder and other crimes against the state. Cutter pulls out his gun, but Aramaki shoots first and kicks the firearm away. He then calls Major, before executing Cutter at his home. In the coming days, Major visits her own grave, staring at her former name on the tombstone. She is joined there by her mother, and Major says that she doesn't have to come there anymore. Major, who has returned to work at Section 9, stands atop a building waiting for Aramaki's direction. She drops from the roof and cloaks herself as she descends. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Please leave a like on the video, and subscribe to see more.